Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. It is me, Sosa, and today I have my Nerf ARL ripped apart, and we're gonna be talking about some modifications I did, and yeah, so let's get right into it. So I'm gonna start off with the rev switch. Now, what is wrong with the rev switch? Well, nothing's wrong. It's perfectly fine. Well, it's not perfectly fine, but whatever. You get the point. And as you notice, when I rev it, hear how it stops immediately? It shouldn't do that. And if I kind of let go a little bit, but not all the way, it'll let it slow down like it should. And the reason why this is important is because it'll eventually, first of all, it's doing something inside the motor or to the flywheels that makes it stop like a brake. And it shouldn't do that because it can hurt the flywheels over time if it's touching the flywheels. And if it's the motor, that's even worse. And it's also wasting battery power. And if you don't believe me, I collect fans. There's a few of them over there, and there's even more over there. So, I definitely worked with motors before. I had to rip those fan motors apart to fix them. So I'll know if something's manually stopping the motor, if it's bad or not. Especially if it's using power. And I can just assure you that this does not need to happen, and this is just stupid. So, to bypass it, I have this little, it's like stiff paper. It's pretty cool. And I just stuck that between this and the other thing. So that way when I rev it, just gotta get those locks going. As you can see, when I let go, it lets the flywheels slow down as they should. Because if you see this third wire here, that third wire is the wire to tell this thing to stop the flywheels immediately with a brake. And that shouldn't be, I don't know why they have it like that. That's stupid, and it shouldn't be like that. So do this modification if you can. And the middle one tells the flywheels to stop, and the bottom one tells the flywheels to go. So this one just tells all power to stop, and the flywheels just go down and spin down normally. And this one stops the flywheels manually, like stops them so they stop spinning down. And that shouldn't be like that. So to have that, you just have this little thing which has the switch go halfway to the point where it just touches the middle wire. Now, there's probably a better way to do this by removing the third wire. It's too much of a pain because got a circuit board, then it goes to the motor, and blah, 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 blah. It's just a pain. It's just a million times easier. If you really wanted it to do that, you could probably put your time into it, but I'm not going to do it for the sake of my life and this blaster. Yeah. So the next thing I did is I took this little lock out over here. It doesn't need to be there. It's just stupid. So I took it out, and it came with a little spring. This is not the same spring. I put the spring in here where the mag switch is. This just makes the mag a little easier to hit. As you can see, when I barely touch it, it moves, but the spring is still there to eject it back. So that just makes it easier for reloading. So that's done. Then, this one, my next thing will keep this shut. That way, if I wanted to rev while I'm reloading, so that way the flywheel's already getting the max RPM, I can. So I have this little thing I made here. And if I put that in there, it's a little hard to see here, but I'll try my best. Boom, first try. You can see that little flap will stay above. And there you go, that keeps this down. So now, I only have to hold down the jam door button and the rev button. Which before I had to hold this thing down, because the magazine would be in here holding that down anyway. But if I want to reload, I have to do it stupidly. So yeah, so that plate will go back on. And this plate over here, for the rev switch, that'll go back on in a minute. Just gotta get my time to do that. I know it's not completely on there, but just for the sake of everything. Alright, next thing I did was related to the flywheels. These are stock flywheels and stock cage. What I did is I took the rubber door out. As you can see, this rubber door would go like right there, where the dart enters the flywheel cage. Why did I remove this? Well, first of all, this is stupid and this is garbage. And I removed this from, like, every single flywheel blaster of mine. I removed it from all my strifes, and I removed it from my Shredhawk, and now this one's the next culprit. This is completely stupid, does not need to be here. It just jams the blaster. What a waste of time. So I remove it from all flywheel blasters, and I recommend you do the same. I did a performance test, and I actually got better performance stats without the stupid rubber garbage than if I didn't have it off to begin with. So I recommend taking it off. It does better. Next thing, I messed with the thermistor. I twisted the thermistor to bypass it. This basically stops the flywheels if there's too much power. And usually modders do this if they want to throw IMRs in here. I don't have IMRs on me right now, but it just comes in handy in the future so I don't have to take this thing apart. Because you can see, another stupid design flaw is the wires go from the first plate to the top plate. I don't know why. They could have put the battery over here, the batteries over here, and then have to travel the wire to the top. Like idiots, they put it on the top instead of the, whatever, they're dumb. So that just makes it a huge pain. And to top it all off, they put the stupid trigger spring. This is connected to that. And that's the stock, but the stock can be attached with the blaster. You know how dumb that is? So stupid. So yeah, so far that's 5 things I did. I don't think I did anything else, so yeah. And obviously I removed the trigger for now, so I can do these modifications easier. I recommend you do the same when you're making these modifications. Where's the stock? Yeah, good question. Stock's right here. Both shells. And yeah, I took it off for the sake of time so I could get this video out as fast as possible. But it could be put on because this shell, this just overlaps the stupid gray thing. So it's gonna line up annoyingly. But yeah, it goes on top of the gray thing. These 2 little holes go on those little bumps, like they do here. So there's no mag and it can rev very loudly. Yes, I switched the batteries while I was at it. I put in just 4 new AA batteries. I didn't put IMRs or anything, even though I switched to thermistor or whatever, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, so what is done? I removed the front iron sight because it's just big, doofy. I always leave it down because it just doesn't do anything. So I removed it because it looks stupid. So that's off. Now the back one, this one's nice. And yeah. And I can't put an optic on here because this rail is facing up. So your scope's going to face the sky while you're trying to hit someone. Big help that is. The biggest thing I did was to the rev switch. I messed with the little brake system so that way it doesn't break the flywheels. It doesn't stop them immediately. And I highly recommend you do that because it'll kill the motors faster and it'll kill your battery faster because it's using power to stop those flywheels when they don't need to be stopped. Show you. Where's my Chris Vector Strife? Okay, Chris Vector Strife. When I rev, see, the flywheels just, you know, went, they just slowly stopped, and that's normal. They should do that. This, when you let go before, it sounded like this. And it shouldn't do that. It shouldn't just go and stop. It should not do that. And if you're wondering how I did that, even though I removed it, I just used the jam door. But since it's always shut, it doesn't matter because this blaster doesn't jam, so don't need it. So yeah, I highly recommend you do that. Other guns like the Strife don't have that, so you don't have to do it in every blaster. Just this one I noticed had that, so please remove that or add something in there. Yeah, so this has the same modification. So yeah. Now you're probably thinking, well, why didn't you mess with the mag switch just to have it rev when you reload? Well, that's really helpful because when you're reloading, loud. Okay, let me just clear this all out of the way. When you load in a mag, you want, especially flywheel blasters, you just want to hold them there for a second so that the flywheels get to max RPM. They spin the fastest they can. So that way when you shoot, you don't shoot like that. It will actually leave the barrel, right? So it's necessary to just let it spin and then shoot. On other blasters, when you have the mag out, you can't rev, and that's really stupid, because then when you have to load, then you have to hold down the rev trigger, then you can fire it and finally fire. Instead of just, you do the modification, and then you can hold it down. Then you can shoot right away. You don't have to wait, because the flag was already revving while your blaster was already disabled because you didn't have a mag in there. So, that's dumb. And I don't know why they do that. I'm pretty sure because they don't want kids or whatever to get their hands in there. It's like, I can't even get my hands in there. And I have bigger hands than, like, a normal 5-year-old, you know. So, like, what's the point in that? Another thing I did is I changed the spring and the mag switch to make it much lighter. So I just press it, and it didn't really make a difference. But you don't have to apply as much pressure. You just kind of just touch it, and it will release the mag, which is pretty nice. I would have done the same in the Strife, but I don't think it had the same mechanism. As you can see, this one, you have to push a little more. This one, you don't. You just kind of like, see how loose that is? Look at that. This one isn't the same. When you do that, you kind of have to just push it in like that. And I'll show you again. Just like no effort. Just flick it. Kind of like a flappy pedal if you ever had one. Just kind of like, you just flick it. So yeah, the stock will be going back on. I had to have it on because the blaster sits on the ground like this against what the Chris Vector Strife, so it won't sit on the ground if there's no stock. So there needs to be a stock, so it will go back on there. Just for the sake of time and just to see what it looked like. So here we go. Enough of me talking, let's finally fire this thing. See, already revving. Overall, in the end, am I happy with this mod that I did? Yes, I am actually really happy with it. Sounds dumb, but I am. I'm really happy about it, you know? I'm so happy to have this thing work. I'm like, dude, because I was looking on YouTube for a tutorial on how to do that, but no one cares. They're just like, oh, I don't care if it manually wastes power, hurts the motors, just to stop the flywheels when it doesn't need to stop it. No one cares, so I couldn't find a tutorial. So I'm like, So I decided, why not rip it apart today and do that? And also screw with the little mag switch thing, which I did. That's why I could rev right now. So yes, I am very happy with that. And I can't believe I don't have to do any weird things. I don't have to do any weird things. It works. I just let go and the flywheels spin down like they should. Like the Strife. Does the same thing. So yeah, I'm really happy with this thing. That's crazy. I can't believe I was like, I figured that out. I didn't like, because there was like 3 things to that switch and I needed something perfectly that size for that to work, and I can't believe I found anything. And even it doesn't even need to be bent. Like, you're probably thinking it needs to be like a spring or something. It really doesn't. So yeah, and there's the rubber door. No one's gonna believe me, but I did remove it, so there you go. I removed it. It's gone. Into the trash you go. Boom. So yes, would I recommend you do the same? Yes, I highly recommend to get that rev switch to do this normally and switch out that mag thing. The other stuff with the thermistor bypass, the other thing I did with the mag switch, that's all optional. You don't have to do that. It doesn't really do anything, in my opinion. The thermistor doesn't do anything if you don't have IMRs. That's the first thing. Unless they screwed it up something with the flywheels, then yes, it's helpful. But you don't really need to do that. If you're gonna throw IMRs in there, you need to have that done. Otherwise, it's just gonna turn off. You know, it's like a fuse. So we'll bypass that. This was just easy. I took the spring out of the lock for the trigger, so that way you can't, because you're not supposed to pull the trigger and there's a mag in there if it's not revving, but it doesn't matter. so I can like technically do that. So it doesn't need to be there. It doesn't do anything. So I removed it and used the spring. And it was a weaker spring, so I put the weaker spring in here, and the spring in here I just saved in my parts. So if I need it, I'll have it. Which makes it easier just to reload. You just flick it. You don't need to apply all that pressure. Which I might actually do this, because I think I'm getting another strife, hint hint, for another mod. So I'm definitely gonna do that. I recommend that. So yeah, that's that. There you go, the end of the video. Nice lawnmower.